I bought this iPad with the hope of learning digital art. But all I could do at first was this. And after 6 months of hard work, my progress looks like this. According to Procreate, I've spent 291 hours working on my digital art. And mamma mia, that's just 9 hours away from a big round 300. And I'm a sucker for big round numbers. So today, I'm reaching 300 hours of digital art. Let's go. But 9 hours is a very short time for the type of illustrations I do. This one took me 18 hours to complete. That's double the time I have. And even a simpler one like this one still took me 16 hours. So I'm gonna have to be methodical and approach it step by step. But I have a very special rule that I follow religiously because it's the key to my progress. And that's that every artwork needs to make me practice the fundamentals that I care about. And those are storytelling and 3 different types of composition. I'm going to explain those later, but let's start with composing our story. Well, let me explain. Some artists spend weeks trying to find the idea to start their scene. And I don't have that kind of time. So I used a shortcut. I started with this. This is the character design I did for the artwork of my last video. And you see, people think that character design is about the looks of the character, but it's not. It's about the story of the character. This guy is a digital nomad. He's always working on the go with his sidekick's chopstick and goggles. And already with this, I thought of placing him in a subway. And then I've used character design to develop my story even further. You'd recognize these octopus people from one of my previous videos. And using them made me think that they should be all looking at him because he's the only human. And since it's their world, the subway should be underwater. Shape, color, and values. I'm telling you straight away what the 3 types of compositions are, because even though they're different, and I'll show you how I'll tackle them separately, they are all built upon the same underlying principle. And it's the very same principle that makes you like a warm, beautiful sunset or a cool music drop. Contrast. Let's start with shape compositions first. I've started with the subway as my main shape, so a rectangle. What I'm doing is trying to stay away from any parallels. That's why the second main shape is a triangle made by the heads of our main characters. And even the background has these more circular jellyfishes, and their tentacles are not parallel to the main shape. Alright, shapes are shaved off. Next, there's contrast using colors. Okay, but I'm hungry and it's late. And God, so 2 hours have flown by already, and what I need is really some food right now. The fuck is that? Color composition. You don't need to be a master in color theory. Just look at the color wheel and note how every color has an opposite one with which it makes the biggest contrast. These are complementary colors, and there's a shortcut for that in Procreate. But you can't use complementary colors randomly, because the contrast they create is useless unless you follow a pretty simple rule that is often overlooked by beginners. I'll show you. I usually start with a color I like purple. And I add other colors that are not complementary, like these ones. These colors will occupy the majority of my artwork in terms of space, like 90% or more. And then I pick a complementary color, in this case this warm yellow, and it can only occupy a tiny amount of space, what is left. Contrast depends on this imbalance in space. So your eyes will be drawn to this smaller region of high contrast. That's why stains are so annoying. And we can use this to our advantage by placing it around our main character. Like this. Okay, the next step will tie everything together, and I've got 5 hours left, so I think I'm gonna be able to finish it in time. Let's stop the clock, because I'm exhausted. And I'd rather continue it. It's tomorrow, and like every morning, I try to start my day with a walk. But I try to be less in my head and more observant of the things around me, especially the aesthetics of things. And I discovered that I really like it when you put together man-made geometry like buildings and constructions with moving nature like water and animals. It's a contrast that I find beautiful. Right, contrast. The secret behind composition. Yesterday I talked about using contrast for shape and color composition. The last piece of the puzzle is values. The word values confused me at the beginning. I don't know why it's called like that, but it's just how much light there is. Highest value of a color is always white, and the lowest value is always black. So, like with color contrast, our eyes are drawn to the region of highest contrast, especially if it's a smaller area surrounded by a much bigger one. So this is what I do. I add a layer of black on top of everything. I change the layer setting to saturation, and like this, I can study the values without thinking about the colors. Next, I select the layers with the colors of the main shapes, and I change their values individually. I spend some time playing around with these to make sure that I end up with a contrast between lighter and darker areas that is making me look to things in the order I want. And just like with color contrast, I want you to start by looking at the character. But here, more specifically, I want you to start by looking at the character's face. And at this point, the artwork is fully composed, and all it's left to do is details. Rendering, hiding clues, and having fun. Just like a well-balanced spinning top, you can find yourself going for much longer than what you expect if you're having fun. But I'm on a tight schedule, so let's check how much time I have left for... I forgot to resume the timer, but we can check it in Procreate. I love the result, but let's see if it took less than 9 hours or not. I need to go to statistics. Oh. Wow. 21.